Welcome everybody to The Light on Education. I am Tony Saunders, your host, and we are sponsored by the Associated Advocacy Center Visions for the Future Incorporated. And today we have Mr. Ben Borowski, who is a former student. He graduated in 2012. And we're going to talk today about some of the placements he's been in and how he felt about them, and welcome everyone, Ben Borowski. Hi Ben, I'm so glad that you decided that you would come on my show today. And first of all, if you don't mind, I'll give them a little bit of information about what happened, and then I'd like to talk to you about how you felt about it.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so Ben was diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and at the time nobody knew that he wasn't. And so because of his diagnosis, he ended up in several different schools as he was moving through his education. One of the schools that we want to talk about today was a private day placement that his mother actually fought for and won. And the private day placement is where we're going to start Ben today, talking about that and how he felt about it. So first, before we start talking about the placement, Ben, can you just tell us how you felt when you realized that people said you were autistic?
It was sort of frustrating to deal with. I kind of knew all along that I wasn't really autistic, but I was young and the older people, they felt I had the right diagnosis with autism. They put me in to several settings that didn't really seem right, but I had to go there. I felt like it kind of hindered my education because I didn't really believe that I was autistic, because I've researched what autism is and isn't, and I had some symptoms, but not really the full broad scale of autism.
Okay. And so because of your diagnosis and because of behaviors that you had when you were younger, the school district decided to place you in a substantially separate program or day school for children with autism. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like for you?
Well, it was a pretty big change from going to several programs, starting from public to special needs to where I eventually went. First of all, it was a long way away. It was an hour and a half drive to the placement.
How did you feel about having to drive an hour and a half every day?
It was frustrating because you were supposed to be there at 7 o'clock, and we just did not make it every day. At 7 o'clock, we ended up getting there later and later because the traffic, sleeping patterns, everything added up. And the school didn't get out till 2:35, and it was a very small school. That had 8 kids in a classroom, and only one teacher and maybe a teacher's aide.
Did you said there were 8 students and possibly 2 adults. Was there anything good about having just 8 kids in the classroom?
Well, it was pretty nice because there wasn't so many voices, everyone talking. In public school, there's like 30 kids to a classroom and everyone just talks nonstop.
Right.
They talk, they text, they, distract you from getting the education you want if you really care about your education.
Right.
Some people don't.
Right, that's true. Did you care about your education in those days when you were at the other school?
I did and I didn't. I cared to the point where I was frustrated because I knew I wasn't getting the education that I needed, but at the same time, I kind of hindered myself by not really trying my best because I didn't feel I was in the right place to do my best.
Mm, right. I remember those days. And um, getting back to the classroom itself, do you feel that the education that you got was helped you become an adult in that particular school?
I do. I guess I'd have to say that I do think it helped me become an adult. I'm not sure exactly what helped me, but seeing every thing that I did and going through the rough times that I did in that school helped me definitely mature at a faster rate than most people would mature.
I remember that too, because you did mature. And one of the things that I remember was your math. Uh, Constantly, it was said that in the meetings that you had a math disability, that math was very difficult for you, etc. Can you talk to us a little bit about what was difficult in math in that particular school and what helped you?
Well, math in that school, there was a couple different teachers, and really, they didn't explain the math to me that to make it make sense. And I ended up getting a private tutor, and one session with him, and he tells my mom, "Do you know how incredibly talented this kid is with math?" Like, I thought I was going to fail my math MCAS, and I thought I flunked it, and I got a 260 with the help of my tutor.
Right, right. Yes, and your tutor was quite taken by your abilities in math. And, I have no idea what caused the team to feel that you had a math disability, except that when you were taking whatever standardized tests that they were giving you, you didn't do so well with them. Do you have any idea why that may have happened or how that could have happened?
It probably has to play in with the whole autism thing, and that they diagnosed me with that, and they figured, well, maybe because he's autistic, he's not that bright in math.
Hmm.
And maybe that's what they thought when they said that I had a weakness in it.
Right. So, how long did you get tutored for math? Do you remember?
Um, right up until I left the school, once I got the tutor, I stayed there with him, and we'd stay and study for like an hour at a time every Thursday. And with his help, I'd blow through math. I did a semester of honors 10th grade math in 40 minutes with him.
Huh. Wow. A semester.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so after you're talking about the 10th grade MCAS test that you took and
Yeah.
you got proficient. And again, we were so happy for you when that happened. Um, when we decided to take you out of that school and put you into your district school, were you happy about that? Were you not happy? What did you
I
want?
was very happy because I was finally gonna, get back to a normal setting, meet more people. Because at the private school I was at, there was only a few people that really I could even communicate with at the same level.
Really? Let's stop there for a second. Let me ask you, can you explain that to me and describe it?
Well, there was a couple people. I mean, it was a small classroom, like I said, 8 children.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 8 children in it, well, I shouldn't say children, teenagers, but only a couple of them, really had the same interest in me and was at the same function and level as me, you know.
Because you were so high functioning. I
Yeah.
mean.
Like, I knew that I wasn't autistic, and I knew that these kids, they weren't autistic. They were in the same boat as me.
Right. Okay. And so now, fast forward, you're in a regular high school. Did you have any issues at all in that high school?
I had some issues with some of the kids there and one of the teachers because he decided that, hey, it'd be a good idea to single me out in class. But other than that, I didn't really have any issues. And the work I did kind of get overwhelmed with, but jumping from the setting I was in to high school setting with, no help at all, I did pretty well.
Mm-hmm. So, was the work in comparison, was it harder in the district school or harder in the private school?
It wasn't really hard. I'd just say it was a lot longer.
Oh, because you had to go a longer day, you mean? Or you mean you got...
There was a lot more work to do in a shorter time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. And when you had to do homework, did you have to do homework?
Yeah.
In both places?
In both places, but really, there was more homework. It was kind of even with homework. I mean, I didn't really do much of it because I finished all of it pretty much while I was in school because I didn't want to do it at home. So
Yeah.
just finish it,
Yeah.
get it out of the way.
Were there any courses that were difficult for you when you got into the district high school that you weren't prepared for because you had been in the other program?
I'd say like taking the it wasn't biology, but it was some science class. It had to do with plants and identifying them. And it was just pretty boring to me, but I had to do it because I had to get the science credit. So, and English, they had a whole different format for writing term papers. So,
Different than from the private school, you mean?
yeah.
Oh.
And I had no idea how to do it, so I had to get help with that from the English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it was all pretty easy.
That's great. And while you were in either of the schools, did you use any kind of assistive technology or technology period? Did you access the curriculum through, say, a computer or what they call an Alpha Smart or anything like that?
Well, yeah, they had computers in the high school, and I did work with them. I mean, the other kids did too. It was just part of the classroom.
Yeah. In the private school, did you also? Or, I mean, was it part of the classroom?
Yeah. But there was only one computer versus having a computer lab that could fit the whole needs of a class with 30 or so.
Ah. So at the private school, you only had one computer and it had to be shared,
Yeah.
you're saying. Okay, all right. And so being at the district school, you actually had a milieu of computers at your disposal whenever you needed them?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And so what types of courses, if you can compare the two, did you take in the private school, in the public school that you couldn't take in the private school? Like any electives or anything
For
like
starters, music.
that?
I got my jazz improv class that was amazing to take. I love music. I play guitar, piano, drums. That was very good for me, beneficial, because I was actually getting the music education that I needed. I want to be a musician, got to get educated. And the music teacher that was at the private school didn't really do that.
So there was a music teacher, and you did have a music class. What did you do in the music class at the private school?
rewatched videos of very basic videos of music and the how to read and write music, but it was so like dumbed down that it was unbearable to even be in the classroom.
Oh. And at that time, were you taking lessons or anything like that?
I was taking piano lessons and guitar lessons.
Oh, good. How did you enjoy? Did you enjoy taking the lessons? Were you taking them
Yeah.
at home or in a studio? Where did you
Home
go?
and at my piano teacher's house.
Okay, okay. And you said you also play the drums. When did you fit that in?
Whenever my brother was around, he's a drummer, and he got me to sort of get interested in drums. Not
Ah,
that good at them.
you said you're not good at them?
No, I'm
Oh.
better at guitar and piano.
Yeah, yeah. So you said you want to be a musician.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that a little bit. Are you planning on going to college? What are your thoughts about that?
Planning on going to college to get a better music education. I want to go to Berkeley, but I'm probably gonna start at maybe 4Cs, do 2 years there, and transfer to a state school and take it from there.
When you said transfer to a state school, do you mean Berkeley? Berkeley is a private school,
It's a
isn't it?
private school.
Oh, okay. So what you're planning on doing is possibly starting off at Cape Cod Community College, going to a state school
And then
for
move up.
what? For music?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know you could do that. That's why oh, that's great. That's great. And then so from there, do you think you'd go to Berkeley afterwards?
Yeah.
Maybe for a master's degree in something or
Probably.
yeah. Wow.
You need to do a lengthy lengthy interview, and basically you have to perform for like I think 15 minutes or so,
Uh-huh.
and you have to do whatever they tell you to do. And I don't know if I'd be ready. Plus, you have to have good referrals, so get that out of the way by going to different colleges to get the referrals you need.
Right, right. And would they also take referrals from your teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And so, getting back to school for a minute, how many years did you attend the district school after you left the private school? How long were you there?
About a year and a half.
A year and a half. And in that year and a half, talk to us about the diagnosis a little bit. Did you still feel that you weren't autistic? And
Yeah.
okay. And did you prove who you were to people at that point? I mean,
Yeah.
what? How do I ask this question? What was it that made you go, wait a minute, I'm not autistic. I can do this because I'm not.
I just had, it was the right time, and I had people, believing in me and telling me it's not a diagnosis, Ben. You're pretty normal. You can do whatever you want. And I just had a wake up call and said, what am I doing here? I should be out in public school. And once I got to the public school, I started making friends. I started enjoying school more than I did before.
Ah, and did the students in the public school, did they accept you? I know you were like the new man on the block. I don't know how they treat kids nowadays, when you're new, but did they accept you okay and you felt comfortable?
Yeah, I had my own clique of people that accepted me and were nice and friendly, and we hung out all the time.
Oh, that's
It was
great.
pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. And what about friends outside of school? Did you have friends outside of school as well
Yeah,
that you hung out with?
yeah.
Yeah.
I hung
Good.
out with a bunch of people afterwards. I couldn't really do that in the other setting because they all lived an hour and a half away.
Yeah, okay. And so in the public school, did you have any classes that were your favorite classes that you were saying, oh, I'm so glad I'm here because I get to take, other than the music classes, because I know how you
other
felt
than the
about
music,
that.
not really.
What
'Cause
about the academics?
the academics, I'd say probably English, because I like reading, I like poetry, I like novels, and it was pretty cool. We got to read a lot of, we read Shakespeare, we read poems, we watched videos of like Tuesday with Morrie. It was really cool.
Tuesday with Morrie, I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's about a student who decides to go and see his teacher who is ailing in life, and it was his favorite teacher, and he just starts taking care of him, basically.
Oh,
He visits
Oh.
every Tuesday with him.
oh, sounds like an interesting book. And you said you like poetry. What kind of poetry do you like? Is it more the lyric kind of poetry, where everything rhymes with each other? Or
Lyrics, haikus,
do you have a favorite author?
Robert Frost.
Ah,
I really
really?
like him. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. In Cape Cod Community College, they have some really good uh, writing classes, poetry classes, so you should do well there. Absolutely. So are you thinking about attending college this year?
Yeah.
Like starting in September or maybe January? What are your thoughts?
Either September or January. I want to get back into school, because I want to get my education and I
Right.
want to get that start going. I had
Right.
to stop because of family issues. I couldn't continue
Mm-hmm.
because I had to take care of my mom.
Right.
She had cancer, and that kind of scared me
Right.
right after I graduated high school. So I took the year off, took care of her. She's better. Now I can go
Wonderful.
forward with college.
Wonderful. That's awesome. You know, uh, autism is one of those diagnoses that's a big, broad spectrum, and it's got a little of this, some of this, none of that, whatever. And it's difficult to get the diagnosis, but there are a lot of students, a lot of children that are being diagnosed every day, especially males. So I understand how the system kind of lost you. I do. Um, I'm not happy about it,
Neither
because
am I.
your trajectory of education would have been different had you not had that diagnosis. But on the other side, I guess you were supposed to go through what you went through to get to where you are today. And at least mentally to get to where you are today. And I'm talking about, just realizing that we are, we are all trying to figure out what each of the students need in order to help them graduate from high school. I think your mother was very, very proud of you when, well, I don't think, I know. She was very proud of you when you walked across that stage. And, just to be able to see that, I think, was a miracle for her, because she never thought that that would happen. And I'm hoping to be able to have her on this show at some point this summer. And I did ask her about that, and she said she would. So that'll be an interesting discussion to hear her side of it from her view and how she fought for your education. When it came to getting you into a private school, it was difficult to find one that would take a child with the issues that you had, the behavioral issues that you had. But once we found a placement, we thought, hey, that was it. And it kind of saddens me, I have to say, to hear that it wasn't a perfect fit for you. However, on the other side of it, I am very happy that you were able to overcome all of the behaviors that got you there and be able to go into a regular high school. Um, to talk a little bit more about your trajectory of education, I'd like to say this. When you go to college, well, I want to ask you this question. When you go to college, are you planning on getting any kind of help or anything like that? Do you think that you still need any kind of support in the special education field? It's not special ed like the same type of classes and things like that that you would have in a regular school anyway. What you end up getting on is what's called a 504 plan, if that's what you choose to do, and that would just give you accommodations throughout your day. Do you think that that's something you're going to pursue?
Maybe if it's beneficial for my education, then yeah, I want to get the best education I can, and
Wonderful.
however that means doing.
Right, right. Because they have tutors, they have what's called the O'Neill Center there, which you can go into and use their computers if you want to while you're still there, so you don't have to bring home homework, as we were talking about earlier. So I'm very pleased and proud to have you on my show, and I hope that if there's anything I can do to help you, obviously I will. But I hope that you really succeed in everything that you try to do, because you sound like such an incredible human being, and I'm really proud to know you as an adult. Seriously.
Thank you. That's a very nice compliment.
Oh, good, good. And so I want to thank everyone for watching our show today. This has been The Light on Education, and Ben Borowski, a former student, and thank you very much for being here today, and bye-bye.